I don't know how I feel about this ending. Let me know in the comments how you feel. My name is Dorian. This is A.I.M Comics. We're continuing our coverage of Iron Man, the Stark-Roxxon War, number 3. Our story starts off where the last one left off. We have Iron Man with his big ass busted sword battling Force. Seems like everybody got a busted sword now. But Force manages to knock the sword out of his hands. And he's on low battery. So he's rushing to get the sword. Force is about to shoot him in the back. He gets the sword, turns around, redirects the blast, and then we cut to the board of directors of Stark Unlimited, A.I.M, and Roxxon. And pretty much, they feel like this is a done deal. Literally. But with the last bit of energy that he has in that suit, Tony comes flying into the window, crashes, and it's like, look, I got something to say. Somebody put me next to an outlet because I got to get plugged in. So Tony gets plugged in, and then he gives an impassioned speech, which falls on deaf ears. But he knew it was falling on deaf ears. So then Justine Hammer chimes in, and is like, once this deal goes through, and we become Stark-Roxxon, that's a horrible name, that the silent partner is guaranteeing all members of the board access to a higher plane of existence. And she's like, I'm living proof. They brought me back from the dead. And then Tony's like, okay, do you hear her talking? Like, are you guys listening to what she's saying? Like, you think the silent partner's in like Church and Keiko somewhere? No, she said higher plane of existence. So they're probably in some other dimension somewhere, and it ain't gonna be good. I'm trying to tell you. So again, they're not listening. So Tony's like, you know what? Let's just call the vote. All against, he raises his hand, and Melinda May also raised her hand. So even though he insulted her, she's still on his side. But the rest vote in favor for it. So they start calling it Stark-Son. Stark-Son. Still a horrible name. So Tony unplugs and is like, forget this. Congratulations, Monica and Justine. And Monica, she's the scientist supreme in charge of A.I.M, goes, where do you think you're going, Iron Man? Strip. So Tony's like, nah, I ain't going down that way, homegirl. I ain't taking off nothing. And then Justine Hammer touches her brooch and turns into the Iron Monger. But this time Tony was ready as he hits her out the building. But then she grabs him and then slams him down to the ground. And then picks up a car with people in it and is about to throw it on Iron Man. So she does throw it. Tony catches it, sets it down, and then he pulls out his big ass busted sword. And oh yeah, his AI that only calls him by username called her the Iron Mommy. And finally he was like, you know what, just shut the hell up. So his repulsor rays hasn't worked on that suit like at all. So finally he decides that instead of trying to shoot his repulsors to his hand, he'll just redirect it to the sword, which he fully admits he got that from Thor. And then he shoots her with a blast through the sword. And then he comes down with the sword. He says, have at thee. So he hit her pretty good, like into the ground. And people are like crowding around trying to take pictures. And he's like, get the hell out of here. So she decides to finally get up. And then she shoots her repulsor ray right at Iron Man. And he blocks it with the sword. He absorbs the blast. And then he sends it right back at her. And now she's pretty much done. But then Dr. Druid comes out of nowhere and is like, the silent partner would like to speak to all you guys. And the next thing you know, they're in another dimension, just like Tony said. So then Tony's like, Druid, man, what the hell happened, man? Did you get catfish or something? So then Druid's like, my quest for knowledge has bound me to a dark broker. He summons us. Blasco, former Lord of Limbo. So Tony's like, geez, X-Men told me about this dude. If you don't know, he's the dude that Ileana pretty much kicked out of Limbo. So Blasco goes right to it and is like, look, the Iron Monger is now the new leader of Stark-Roxxon. So you want to hail somebody? Hail her, which they start doing. So Antonio's like, you're more of a middleman. So who are you working for? And Blasco's like, they're ancient, but right now they want to stay anonymous. But just know they want to venture into new markets. And that's why we made sure this acquisition happened. So the board members are finally starting to realize that they got into a bad deal. And Melinda May, ex-S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, ain't having none of it. She has a gun underneath the table. She gets up to shoot Justina, but then Iron Man stops her. So pretty much everything's looking bad. The board members are scared out their minds, and it looks like there's no hope. But the Iron Man's like, there's one problem. So Belasco's like, what's the problem? And Iron Man's like, I don't think you were told the whole truth when it comes to me, Roxxon, and A.I.M. You see, they always try to come at me, and I always beat them. Always. Dr. Druid, why don't you show him real quick? So Dr. Druid shows him in his mind, and Belasco's like, oh no, this is a bad deal. I gotta contact my clients. So then Justina's like, oh, I come back from the dead for this? And then Belasco's like, no, you know what? They respect you, Iron Monger, so you're free. And Iron Man, you're free to go too. Everybody else, you guys are my prisoners. Your souls belong to me. So of course the board members start to freak out. And then Tony's like, look, there's a deal on the table. You got 60 seconds to take it. You all will vote right now to annul the merger, and you will resign from the Stark board, divesting yourselves from all Stark's holdings. So then Jack Quinn Jr. is like, whoo, Tony, that'll wipe me out. My portfolio is Stark heavy. Tony's like, 30 seconds. So they all vote yes. And then Tony's like, look, in Justina's brooch is some Mysterium. Instead of taking her souls, why don't you take that? Belasco's like, deal. So then Belasco's like, my clients want to keep the conversation open, so we'll be in touch. And as a gift, we'll let you keep the infernal malware. And Justina Hammer's like, just another weapon to sell, Iron Man. And then Tony's like, no, you were right. I couldn't iron my way out of this one, but I damn sure Tony Stark's my way. So Dr. Druid brings back Tony and Justina to New York, and then Dr. Druid's like, the other board members? Tony's like, take them somewhere else. Just take them home. I don't feel like dealing with them. And then Justina just gives Tony the brooch and is like, you're the Iron Monger now, and just walks away. And that's the end of the comic. And I was like, kind of womp womp a little bit. But the next issue is going to have Scarlet Witch.